Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mickey Mellen. So thankful for April for putting on this Remote Control Summit conference. This should be a fun little weekend, but I'm going to dig right in. Today, I'm going to be talking about how time is money and a bunch of tools you can use to have more of both, more time and more money. Before I dig in too much, I just wanted to briefly show you a bit about us. This is our team. We're Green Mellen Media. We're just off the Marietta Square. For those of you not in Georgia, we're a little bit northwest of Atlanta. It's kind of where we're located. We're a team of 6. We've been around for about 10 years. We do lots of WordPressy kind of stuff. In this session today, I'll be talking about tools for your website, tools for your business, and tools for getting things done. So we're going to start with some tools for your website. So it's really going to be getting into various plugins and that kind of stuff. This will be a fairly short section of this talk, just because I think a lot of you know these pieces already. I have some more interesting stuff further down, but some of the tools we like to use. We're big fans of Genesis and Beaver Builder for building our sites. We do most of it hand-coded. We don't use a lot of Beaver Builder, but if we need just a complex page layout that's a one-off, Beaver Builder is a good way to do it. Genesis, we bought years ago, their Pro Plus package, where you basically get all the themes for life for like $250 or something. That package is now $500, but still, if you're an agency or something, it's a great value to have all their themes, unlimited usage for as long as you want. If you just want to try the Genesis framework as a one-off, it's $59. And then in terms of page builders, again, we love Beaver Builder, but I mean, Elementor, Divi, lots of good page builders out there. I just really suggest you find one that you like and stick with it and become awesome at it. And that's kind of where we went with Beaver Builder. But not to say it's the best, but Genesis and Beaver Builder really do work very well together, and we enjoy that combination. In terms of form builders, we used to use Ninja Forms a lot. Ninja Forms is great. The thing is, we use Ninja Forms for a lot of our sites, but it didn't always do what we needed. So Gravity Forms we can use with all of our sites. Gravity starts, I think Ninja Forms has a free version. I don't remember for sure. Gravity Forms starts at $59, but for $259 a year, you get unlimited use of it, all the extensions, everything you need. And so that's what we do. We pay that. It's a decent amount for a form builder, but it's really very powerful as you dig into it, and being able to use it on every site with every need we might have really is pretty awesome. Jetpack I like to talk about a lot. We used to use a ton. We still use a good bit, but less and less as time goes on, just as we're not finding the modules as useful as they used to be. But it's still pretty cool. It's still free. The challenge there is when you activate it on your site, it's going to say, do you want to pay a little more, or a lot? And way down at the bottom, like, no, I want to use the free one. And for most cases, I think free is the way to go. Their paid features are nice, but I prefer other things for the paid things, like the backups and the security and that sort of stuff. So if I'm not going to pay for the pieces they want to pay for, the free one still does a good job. And my whole thing with Jetpack, it has 35 modules in it or something. If you're going to use 3 or 4 or more of them, it's probably worth doing instead of having 3 or 4 separate plugins. But if you're only going to use it for one thing, it's a big, heavy plugin just to use for 1 or 2 little things. So look at the modules. If you're going to use the social sharing icons and their form and the CSS editor and a handful of things, then it's probably worth doing. If really you don't need more than 1 or 2 features out of it, I would probably advise you just to use separate plugins instead. Here's a screenshot of just a little bit about Jetpack. Doesn't say a whole lot other than just kind of the generic, but it does help you keep secure and make it fast. Their Photon thing, they used to call it, for their basically a CDN. It's kind of cool. Has some easy ways to do things, but you can do more powerful things separately. Getting into backups, the 2 tools we love to use for backups and security stuff are Managed WP and Blog Vault, which really are almost the same thing. It's almost overkill to use both, but when it comes to backups, we don't really believe in overkill. We think you can do a lot. Managed WP changed their pricing a few years ago, which made it a little bit worse for us, but made it a lot better for most everyone else. You can actually use it for free for unlimited sites for some features. And if you want to get into like daily backups and stuff, it costs like $1 per month per site. If you want malware scanning, it's $1 a month a site. And if you want other things, it's $2 a month a site. And it can add up eventually, but then they have some bulk plans that make it better. So I think we pay around $250 a month for Managed WP for 150 sites. So we're paying, $1.50 per site for tons of features with that's a no-brainer. And then Blog Vault's similar, where if you want one site, it's I think $740 a month or $1240 a month with their Malcare security, which is an awesome security plugin. And I think we pay $300 a month for it, again, for 150 sites, so about $2 a site. So to have all the features from both these platforms on a client site costs us like $3.50 per site per month. And our maintenance plans more than cover that. So it's a pretty great deal there. And then Malcare, I was going to mention, is part of Blog Vault. And what's cool with it is, since Blog Vault's backing up your site, they run the malware scanner on their servers instead of yours. a lot of hosts don't like malware scanners. I mean, they want to keep the malware off, but the scanners are very resource intensive. You can really bring the server to its knees. And so what's cool with Blog Vault is after they make a backup, then they scan it super deep on their end and find a lot of things that other malware scanners might miss because they can just grind on it and not worry about irritating a host. So it's pretty cool. Manage WP, just a little bit about what's in here. I see along the left there, the backups are a big thing. We do a daily backup from there. You can manage your plugin updates and theme updates and stuff. And then further down those yellow dots, you see the link monitor, look for broken links. Has a security scanner, which is not that good. Malcare is better, but hey, another security scan, why not? Just to make sure you're safe. Performance, just for speed. The uptime monitor, I like it. I believe it uses Uptime Robot behind the scenes, but it's nice just to be able to manage them all in one place. And then SEO rankings, client reports. You can do some white labeling, just a lot of neat stuff. Really, for us, we want the backups, the updates, and the malware scans, but everything else can help there. For SEO, we used to use Yoast a lot, and we still do a lot of times, but SEO Press we like more lately, really because it combines Google Analytics and the SEO kind of pieces. Most are separate pieces for that, and we used to use Google Analytics by Monster Insights, which is fine, but you have to pay for it if you need certain functions like IP address anonymization, which you need for GDPR. So if you have a European-based site, you don't need debate on whether you need it or not, but you should probably have that. And that's included with SEO Press. And what's cool is the free version is okay. The premium version is $39 a year for unlimited sites. So that's just kind of a no-brainer to get all those features in there. If you need all the hand-holding that Yoast does, this doesn't do that. This will execute pretty much everything Yoast does, but isn't going to give you this traffic lights with the yellow, green, and red for what you need to look at and all that. You put your keywords in here and you get it done. If you need the hand-holding and want some of the guidance from Yoast, Yoast is a better way to go, but we're really quite happy with SEO Press. And do be aware there's one called SEO Presser, which is unrelated, so be careful you get the right one. Just a screenshot of like the dashboard. You can see all the things along the left-hand side under SEO there. They have the XML sitemaps, the social, again, the Google Analytics stuff that most SEO plugins don't have. That's usually a separate plugin, and excuse me. So it really works pretty well for that. For caching and stuff, we use Imagify and WP Rocket. We like those. We think they're among the best out there anyhow. But one thing we really like is that good hosts like Flywheel and WP Engine and some of those don't allow a lot of caching plugins on their site because they can be kind of hard on the server. Same with Imagify, which is image scrunching. That can be kind of hard on the server as well. In these cases, these are both allowed on hosts like Flywheel. WP Rocket, just because of the way they've written it, it kind of works hand in hand with the caching that Flywheel does. And then Imagify is kind of like Malcare, where it takes the image off the server and crunches it on their server and then brings it back. Means they're not free. Both are reasonably priced. WP Rocket, I didn't write down the price for this one. I think it's like $60. And then Imagify, you pay a monthly fee based on how much data you're going to have crunched through there. So in our case, we paid a pretty good monthly fee. It was like, I don't know, $60 or $80 a month for a few months as we got all of our clients crunched. And now that all their existing stuff's taken care of, we don't have that much ongoing, just new things that come in. So we're down to like, I don't know, $10 a month or something. It's not too bad there. Does a good job. And WP Rocket, whatever we pay for, they do have a good unlimited sites plan. So that works well for us too. So, we can load WP Rocket on as many sites as we want for the caching. And then Imagify, it doesn't care how many sites you use. It just counts the data that you run through it. So that works out as well too. So moving on next is some tools for your business. Again, we've been around for about 10 years and we've played with lots of tools, and I'm going to share some of them that we use and even some that we don't use and why you may want to consider those as well. Zoom is interesting. When I started putting this deck together a few months ago, I was thinking, okay, I'll show Zoom. People might not know about it. Now, of course, everyone knows about Zoom. It's so popular, but it is awesome. We use it all the time for internal stuff and for client things and all sorts of stuff. The free version does pretty well. I think it's $19 a month per host after that, which we pay for that for a couple of us just to have the unlimited time and some of the other features there. I think you're familiar with Zoom. There's our team on one of our calls, all working from home, and you can see the kids in the picture. And yeah, it's fun though. We really enjoy Zoom and get a lot out of it, and glad that they're around. Certainly other good choices out there with Google Hangouts and Blue Jeans, and Teams I think has some things. Zoom's nothing remarkable, but just does a good solid job for us. Slack we've used for a long time. We love Slack. It's another one that has a great free version. The only limitation realistically on the free one is that you're limited to the last 10,000 messages. You can't see anything beyond that, which sounds crazy, but we have 6 of us, and I think we have like 88,000 messages in there. So last year at some point we started paying for it. It's $667 per month per user, and they have a higher tier after that. What's really neat though is we bring in some of our contractors and stuff into Slack for certain channels, and I'll get emails from Slack every now and then saying, "Hey, Susie hasn't logged in 60 days, so we're going to stop charging you for her until she logs back in." Like, they're very proactive about reducing your fee, which is awesome. It's almost unheard of. So that's pretty cool how they do that. Looking at our Slack setup here, I'll just kind of run quickly down the left because I'm always looking for new ideas on how to organize Slack. So all the ones that are fuzzed out are individual projects. So we've added where we have a channel for every project, so we can talk specifically about that. We still consider Slack to be vapor, so nothing important goes in here. We'll talk about where important things go, but just to ask quick questions about a project or whatever. The client's one of the top, just for other clients that we don't have a specific project for. Education is usually if we find a neat article or video that the others should watch. Entertainment, similar, but it's a more funny article or video versus anything. Everybody's just kind of general water cooler. GM social is where we talk about our social posts, like, "Ooh, I need a picture for that post we're putting up tomorrow," or whatever. GM payments is a private channel only Allie and I can see. If a payment comes through, it's noted there. So that way, if one of us deposits a check, we both see what's going on. Just kind of a way to kind of keep a pulse on that. GM website is actually a project channel right now. We're working on our new site. Green Mellen is just for our team. So the everybody channel includes contractors and stuff. Green Mellen is just our team. Home or office doesn't apply as much right now, but we're typically in the office 2 days a week. But if things change, we like to note that there, like, I'm going to be late because I have a doctor's appointment, or actually we're all going to stay home today, or we're actually all coming in Friday for whatever reason. Just be aware of that. Inspiration is the one that's lit up right now. Just if we see neat things about the office, about design, just about anything, any inspiration you want to share. Lunch is usually when we're in the office. We'll just kind of put in our orders for whatever we're getting. Just, "Hey, everyone go to the lunch channel. I'm going to go pick up Takira Tsunami." So put in your order there and we're going to do it. Or just debate where we're going to go for lunch or whatever that kind of stuff is. Notion we'll talk about in a little while. It's another tool we use. We can talk about new features and ideas and things we're doing with that. Quoted is just a funny channel for us. When we hear funny things that someone says, often accidentally and often inappropriately, we kind of put those in there just so we can go back. When we started paying for Slack, what's neat is you're limited to 10,000 messages on the free one, but they keep all your old ones. So as soon as you pay for it, it unlocks all the old stuff. And so when we started paying, the whole team ran into Quoted to go back years to see the funny things that were said. Recipes, just as I think you can understand what that is. Then WordPress is kind of like the education channel, just new things that are worth discussing WordPress related in there. So that's kind of how we use Slack. It's pretty awesome, especially now. We're home obviously full time for the time being, and we use it even more. So we love Slack. Harvest is what we use for our invoices. It's fine. It's not the best, I don't think, but it's the best for what we need. It does a good job for invoices. Really does quite a good job for time tracking. It's free to play with. The normal one is $12 per person per month. So you can do the math there. We're $72 a month or whatever for that. One of the neat things that Harvest does better than most of the others, though, is a project view. And of course, I've had to fuzz out most of this, but Allie typically watches this. We can put in, okay, for this project, the budget is $5,000 and we're going to pay $1,500 to this contractor. So we'll do the blue bar up a little bit there. And so we know we have this many hours left, and we track the hours against it. And as the hours go, that blue bar just keeps filling up, so we can glance anytime and see how close we are to our budget. Depending on the type of project, either say, "All right, guys, we need to trim it because it was a set price, and we're not going to, if we go over, we're not going to charge more," or, we'll let the client know that it's going to be more than we thought, or whatever it is. We can see it all at one glance without having to go into each project and see what's going on. Allie can just pull this up, look for trouble, and deal with it from there. In terms of getting things done, I mentioned Slack is vapor. So teamwork projects is where we really do our work. Starts for free. The pro one is $9 per user per month, which is what I think we're on. And the premium is $15 per user per month. Teamwork is a little bit janky. Like the interface isn't perfect. It's not bad. It's just not great. But it really works well. Functionally, it does a great job. It has neat things like task templates. It does a great job with. We have all these different things set up. So we set up a new project. If we have a new keyword research thing coming up, we can just start a project, load those tasks, and there's our 11 tasks, ready to go. We can set dates and assignees and all that kind of stuff to it. Really does a good job. And we bring clients into this too. It does a good job of letting you bring clients in to show them their tasks and progress and all that kind of stuff. If you don't need to bring clients in, then the other one I would look at is Asana, which we really kind of miss quite a lot. The basic version is pretty powerful. The pro one is $10.99 per user per month. But really, it's just so pretty, so slick. Does a great job. It's just a little too simple for what we need, but it really is well done. It's just a well designed, great UX, phenomenal program. Just a little too simple for what we need, but certainly one you should consider. G Suite I threw in here, or Office 365. I'm not going to get into other slides with that, but I mean, we use Gmail and Calendar, and I built this in Google Slides, and there's Sheets and Docs, and we use all that stuff to death. Very similar things in Office. Really, I'm pretty impressed with what Microsoft's been doing lately with Office and Teams and all their stuff. At the time, it was an easy decision for us to use G Suite. Now it'd be a tougher decision. I mean, they're both good competitors there, but you guys know how that stuff works. I'm not going to get too much into email. A little bit more in a minute, but not too much. ActiveCampaign is what we use for our email marketing. It's a little more powerful than Mailchimp, but less powerful than like a HubSpot or Salesforce, and does a good job. Starts about $9 a month, up to $700, several $100s a month, depending on how many people you have and what level you want and stuff. But just a good, powerful program. Again, I'm not going to get into details of it too much. I think you understand how email marketing typically works, but it does a nice job. Of course, if it's a little too powerful for what you need or too expensive, Mailchimp is cheaper and still is phenomenal. We use Mailchimp with a lot of clients still as well. This is a simpler solution. The free plan is pretty powerful. ActiveCampaign doesn't really have a free plan. And then for $10 a month, up to about $300 a month, you can do a lot with that. So that's some of those tools. And then the last section I'm going to talk about is some tools for getting things done. I'm big on this section. I have some interesting ones in here that you may not have heard of. Some that you probably have, and we'll kind of go from there. So for me, the first key to getting things done is inbox zero. I've been a big fan of that for a decade now and still am. I think your inbox should be cleaned out so you know what's in front of you. David Allen's book, Getting Things Done, is kind of what got me going on that. His whole concept of mind like water, where you can respond appropriately to anything that comes in if you stay on top of your world. So anything in your inbox, I think this was Mellen that mentioned these things. If a message comes in, you can either do what's in it, delete it, delegate it to someone else, or just defer it for later. Deleting can mean archive too. I don't delete many emails. I just get them out of my inbox and into the old Gmail archive. I can really do well. But ultimately, the main thing I like to talk about inbox zero is, as Mellen had said before too, there's some value in an email that you get. So extract that value, put the thing on your calendar or respond or download the attachment or forward, do whatever needs to happen with it and then get rid of it. Like stop messing around playing with it. So I'm big on that. And then related, and this one I'm newer with, and you'll see some examples of this a bit later, but it's taking time to process. After an event, after a meetup, when you get new business cards, a sermon at church, wherever you are, take some time afterwards to process what you've learned. I hope after this presentation, you'll maybe take a few minutes to process and say, all right, here's the 3 tools he mentioned I hadn't heard of. Let me go take a few minutes and check them out and sign up for a trial and maybe get a sales call with them. Spend some time to process what you've learned. I'll show you some of where I do that. That's something I've tried to do more, partly as a team after a client meeting, but also just personally after, again, some of those things listed there. Another tool I've used for years is Feedly for RSS feeds. RSS is less popular than it used to be, but I still think it's awesome. And I think it's becoming more important again, just with all the algorithms out there and the filter bubble that people get stuck in, where all you ever see on social media and in even like Google News and Apple News is stuff they want you to see, which kind of gets you trapped into, a mindset where RSS, when you sign up for a source, you're going to get every piece of content from that source, which is good. It's not going to filter out the stuff that, maybe counters your point of view, because seeing those counterpoints is always a good thing. Feedly is a simple way to start with RSS. The basic plan is really pretty solid. Their pro one is $6 a month. Their team one goes to $18 a month per user, which is kind of a big jump, and I'm not a fan of that. Which is actually, I'll jump first to a screenshot just to show you Feedly. You can see your categories along the left there. You can put things in buckets and just kind of see all the news stories come up. If you click on one, you can just kind of use J to kind of jump from story to story, and as you just flip through, it'll mark them as red. You can click on them to see more details. It's just a good way to get all that stuff coming in. I've actually switched now. We had the team version of Feedly, but we weren't using the team features that much. It was just so expensive. Excuse me. So I switched to Inno Reader, which is very similar. I think it's more powerful, a little more complex, but a little more powerful. So that's where I've gone. Brooke on our team is the other big feed reader. She's staying with Feedly for now. Both are good solutions. Both are about the same price. I think this is like $4.50 a month or some $4.50 for the pro version. The free one's pretty good. But yeah, very similar to Feedly, a little more powerful. So here's like mine that I'm using now. You can see kind of the buckets of feeds I have. Doesn't really matter what you have going on in there. But I have all those different buckets of all the different feeds, and I can just click on all articles and just start going through it. Again, J to run down the page. And if I see one that's interesting, I can click on it, go see the full post, and go from there. Another tool I've been using more lately is Brainfm. So especially while we've been home for these last few weeks, I've been reading a lot more than I had in the past, which is great. But we also have a house full of people. So I need something in my ears to kind of let me focus. And Brainfm is a great tool for that. It costs $6.95 a month. So there's free alternatives I'll talk about in a second. But it's how do I describe it? It's lyric-less music that's intended to help you focus. And so they have different ways to help you focus. I guess if I jump ahead to the screenshot here, you can tell it what you want to do. You want to focus, like reading or whatever. You want to relax. You want to sleep. And just kind of play the music for you for a while. If you don't want to pay a monthly fee for something like this, if you search for binaural beats, BINAURAL, binaural beats on Spotify, there's lots of free channels for that. It's a different science behind it, but a similar approach. This one, they focus the type of music on helping you focus or relax, whatever. Binaural beats have to do with having different beats, just slightly different in each ear. So you have to have headphones on, like on Spotify. And the way they do it, it helps you focus. I don't quite understand the science, but I know that it is nice when I want to read. I can pop on Brainfm, click on focus, put my headphones in, and it just kind of plays this, rumbling music behind me, and I'm able to kind of zone in on the book and get a lot done there. Anki, if you've ever heard me talk before, I've talked a lot about Anki. I've been using this for years. Started using it just to memorize names and faces, especially when we had our meetup in person. It was nice to be able to say people's names when I only saw them once every couple months and still remember it. I use it also for Bible trivia, for geography, for just various other things to help me study. It's completely free to use on Windows and Mac and Android and web. It's $25, a one-time fee on iPhone. Well worth it though. They all sync together, so wherever you use it, they all, your Mac version will talk to Windows, talk to, whatever. They all play together. But here's basically how it works. And I use this old picture of Micah just because it's kind of funny. I think it's like a 10-year-old picture of him now, but he's a good example. I like using an example because he's a guy I see once or twice a year. It'd be easy to forget his name just because I don't see him much, but it'd be embarrassing to forget his name because I've known him for so long. So it's a good one. It'll bubble up every now and then. But this is how a card looks. It kind of asks you a question. It doesn't quiz you per se, but you just click on show answer at the bottom. It's going to say, hey, this is Micah. Did you get it right or not? And you choose whether you got it right or not. If you get it right, it pushes it out further and further. If you get it wrong, it kind of resets it and shows it more frequently until you learn it. But it does it all based on spaced repetition, which is, you can read more about that elsewhere. It's a fascinating bit of science just on how if you relearn something right before you were about to forget it, which is a challenging thing to figure out when you're about to forget something. It's kind of like anti-lock brakes. Anti-lock brakes help your car brake most right before you skid. Same kind of thing here. Right before you forget, if you relearn it, you'll remember it longer. And so it has an algorithm behind it where, using Mike as an example, if I got it today, it was a new card, it would show it to me tomorrow, and then it might be 2 days to show me again, and then maybe a week, and then maybe 3 weeks, and then a couple months. It'll kind of space it out in longer and longer stretches, and you'll be able to remember it. And then again, in here, if I say show answer, I'm like, I just can't remember his name. I say I forgot it. It'll kind of reset the sequence. But you can do this to learn anything. Again, I have all kinds of other trivia and geography and just things I wanted to learn, I throw in here. If there's quotes I want to memorize or whatever, it's kind of interesting where I knock this out. It's maybe 15 or 20 minutes in the morning. I've got a lot of cards in here I go through between all the different decks I have. But if I want to learn something new, I don't have to worry about learning it. I just throw it in Anki and know that it'll be taken care of as part of my normal routine. So it's a neat tool. It's worth playing with. And again, other than the iPhone version, it's completely free. So I encourage you to take a look. There's other tools out there. You can see this one here. It looks kind of like Windows XP, and it's about how it looks on all devices. It has an old feel. There's other tools out there that are much slicker, but I really just can't get on board with their algorithm. This seems to have the best algorithm for helping me learn. And again, the price is hard to beat. So yeah, love me some Anki. Loom, I use a lot of. I'm using it right now to record this. Free version, $4 a month for Pro, which I think we pay for, though with COVID going on, they have lots of features available for free, but just great for screencasting. We do a ton of this with clients. If they ask a question, we try to respond with a screencast as much as we possibly can for a few reasons. One, it's easier to explain than trying to type out a long email or get screenshots that are annotated. Just kind of walk through the process. Two, they really appreciate it. They say, wow, they made a custom video for me to explain my answer. That's amazing. But it's kind of cool because you make this custom video that takes you less time than it would have been to do it another way. So it's just a win all the way around. We use these all the time. We probably, as a team, send, 6 or 8 short videos a day to clients to answer various questions, and love Loom. There's other solutions out there, of course. Some are just about as good, but we really like Loom. You can see here, you get a little thing in your toolbar and just kind of choose if you want the screen and camera. I often don't do the camera. I thought I would today for this, but you can choose full screen or just a window. You can, choose some things. Pretty simple though, easy to get going, does a nice job. Next one I look at, I don't use anymore, but is the Full Focus Planner from Michael Hyatt's company. It's literally a paper planner that lasts a quarter, and I've used it for a while, and it's awesome. I've since switched to digital using some of the lessons I learned from the Full Focus Planner. The cost is a little expensive. It's a very high quality planner, but they're $40 each, and you need it quarterly, so it's like $160 a year. So it can add up, but they're phenomenal planners. They have a great set of videos to help you use it. And so as I get into it, I used it for a couple of quarters and learning kind of the rhythms of it for the weekly reviews and the quarterly reviews and setting the goals for each day and all that. It helped me figure out a system to build to do it on my own digitally, because there are some advantages to writing on paper. I mean, you can see some science behind that. I need the digital flexibility, especially now. I'm not in the office. If I had left it there, it'd be trouble. I just want to be able to get to my stuff wherever I am, and you can't do that with this. But I have nothing but good things to say about it. It's a phenomenal thing. But I took the lessons I learned from it and moved those over to Notion. Notion I use a ton now. I'm probably in that application, other than email, probably in there more than anything. We use our CRM in there. I'll show you that in a minute. I have kind of a version of Anki I'm playing with in there. Anki I still like better, but try and do that there. I track events in there. We have our content calendar for Mellen. We have lots of stuff in there. Anki is free Notion is free for up to 1,000 blocks. So any chunk of text you put in or database entry is a block. 1,000 goes pretty fast. But then $4 a month for unlimited. So it's really cheap there, and $8 a month per user if you have teams. And so here's a quick look at my Anki dashboard. The dashboard is interesting. If you go on Facebook and stuff, you'll see people sharing these beautiful dashboards. But as time goes on, my dashboard has gotten much less beautiful and much more functional. So you can see a lot of the things in here. This is kind of the highlights I need to hit. I have sales work to be done. It automatically pulls in from my pipeline. I have leads to check in with. It pulls from the pipeline. Contacts and events. You see things on the right, like Planet Fitness. When I go there, I pull it up on my phone. It has a little barcode, so I can sign in. Also a list of what I have the weights set at for different things. You see Digital Cast in there. That's just podcast notes, other content ideas, just lots of stuff in here for what we need. You can see more things down the left. I have a lot of personal stuff in here, like paint colors for the rooms in our house, and the VIN numbers for our cars and all sorts of things. A lot of Evernote kind of stuff has ended up in here. It's kind of like Airtable meets Evernote if you've not used it. So Airtable is a very powerful database thing. I'll show you a little bit about how that works in here in a sec. But of course, this is also meant just for storing notes, like from Evernote. So the one drawback, and I'll talk more about that in a minute with a different tool, is that with Notion, you can't just throw stuff in it like you can Evernote. I kind of like that with Evernote, just saying, have this note, let me throw it in there, I can find it later. Here you have to put things in specific places, which is good, but sometimes can slow you down. I don't know where I want to put this. I just want to put it and be able to find it later. So you sort of end up with a dumping ground. And I've moved my dumping ground elsewhere. So I use Notion for the well-organized things, then I dump things elsewhere. I'll look at the GM pipeline. That's the main thing that sold me on Notion. I played with it for a while, didn't quite get it, but getting the pipeline in there is what sold me. And so you can see behind there, I have kind of that Kanban chart of leads we have coming in. I'd schedule discovery is scheduled, building options for them. We've sent the options. I can kind of drag them around. The grayed out things being their name, the name of the company, the value of the project, that sort of thing. But you see I have that drop down in the middle that says everything open on hold, projects open. This is kind of the Airtable power that you bring into Notion here, where this is the projects open Kanban board, and I can also see the project on hold. We see the different icons there. All the rest of them are just generic spreadsheet looking charts of the same data. So I can see everything that's ever been in here, everything open. More importantly, I can see Mickey's leads. If I were to click on that one, I'd see just the leads that are assigned to me that I need to check in with today, because every lead we have, I say, I should check in with them next Thursday. I should check in with them in 2 weeks and whatever. So I can pull that up any day and see, here's the ones that are assigned to me that I'm supposed to check in with. Same with Allie. A stat we've been tracking lately in our financials is how much business have we won in the last 30 days. Not how much money's come in. We track that as well. But I like to see how much business have we won. It may not come in until, over the course of a 6-month project, but we can see what we've won in the last 30 days and see if that's going up or down or, what's going on there. Just lots of interesting things you can do with this. And again, all those are viewing the same data just in different ways. So if I were to pull up Mickey's leads and go into one and edit it, it would be edited in all these different views. So you're not having to change it in multiple places. You can just go in once and change it. So it's pretty powerful there. I've had whole meetups about Notion before. I probably will again at some point. Happy to answer any other questions if you dig in. I have a side little site called notiontips.com with lots of videos and stuff on different pieces of this. I walk more into the pipeline and those sorts of things. So you can check that out if you want to see more. But Notion's pretty powerful and we love it. And then the new one where I kind of dump things, I mentioned this when I spoke at April's meetup back in January, is Rome Research. And Rome it's based on Nicholas Luhmann's Zettelkasten from back in the, 60s. He had basically a note card system where every note had a single piece of information on it, but all the notes were linked with, paper and writing of numbers and chaos. I can't imagine keeping up with that. But of course, with the web, we can just kind of have things linked to one another digitally. And so I have about 2,000 notes in here already. And this is kind of my dumping ground. I mentioned Notion's not great for that. So Notion for all my structured stuff kind of goes in there. But just for ideas and thoughts and books I want to read and things like that, it all comes into Rome here. And it's phenomenal. So I'll show you a bit about that. So in Rome here, you have a daily note that comes up every day, which is brilliant. It's kind of different than Zettelkasten, and it didn't have that. I mean, it was based on that idea, but he's taken it a lot further. But what's cool with this is just as things happen, you can write them down. And so you can see what I did on February 24th. I went to the Marietta Business Association. Michael Coles was the speaker. I did a 1-minute presentation with Michael Lindsay. One of my goals was to get Teamwork Zero. Got the Daily Carnage email. I had an interesting quote from George Eliot. And then I read those 4 articles. And so if I read an article, and again, trying to take time to process. Some articles I read and say, but if there's one I really like, I want to take time to process it. And this is where I process it. You can see all the things with the double brackets. Looks kind of like Wikipedia. That's just to make a link. So as you're typing, just put 2 brackets around it, and that automatically creates a page in the background. You don't even have to go to that page. So looking like at Michael Coles, I mentioned, really any noun in one of these, I like to wrap in brackets so I can keep track of it. Where this is cool is like Michael Coles, I made a page out of him. And if I go into it, I see at the top there, it says, click here to start writing. I have no notes on this page yet. I've not taken the time to write it, but I can see below every other page that is linked over to Michael Coles, which in this case is just the one page. But this is kind of the Zettelkasten idea where everything's linked to one another automatically. So if another day I meet Michael Coles for lunch or whatever, or, take a class from him or whatever it is, I reference it. Every time I see it, I'll see all these references and help you tie things together in your brain, especially around more, I guess, like intellectual concepts. But I think it's kind of cool for people too, so I can see what's going on. But if I go back a page again, we can see some of those, I read Self-Made Billionaire, read Why the Smartest People Are Constant Learners, So if we were to click on Why the Smartest People Are Constant Learners, I've taken the time to kind of build a whole page about that. And so I have this little template I kind of just put in at the top here, but the author is Michael Simmons. And again, I put the brackets around him. So if I want to click, I can see more. And that's already brought up some interesting things where I'll do that and kind of click through and say, oh, wait, I didn't realize he's the guy that wrote that other thing too. I tag it with some things so I can search later for learning or articles. I put a link to where it was. I save the content in Pocket as well. And then I pull out some of my highlights. Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day, and there's a good quote for him. You can have various habits, but habits cause stagnation. And learning is greater than productivity, and pulls in the Abraham Lincoln quote about, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree. I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Just cool stuff there. And then you can also see below is all the places where this article has been referenced in other notes. And so it all becomes one big mess of notes, but it's kind of a smart mess. It's not just a mess like in Evernote where you kind of throw stuff in buckets and they kind of go to die unless you search specifically for them. Here, things will kind of bubble up more. I may be reading this and say, oh yeah, what else did I get from Warren Buffett? I'll click on his name and see other things from Warren Buffett. I might see another article and kind of peruse your way through. And in the case of Nicholas Luhmann, he used this concept to write dozens and dozens of books and papers. And, you can use this to really hone in on a subject. For me, I'm mostly just putting stuff in it. But again, even if I don't ever come back to this article again, just taking the time to process afterwards and pull out some of those quotes and read them and retype them helps you solidify what you've learned in your brain a bit more. And it's pretty awesome. Right now, Rome Research, it's romeresearch.com, is completely free to use. They're going to start charging for it sometime fairly soon. they have a good bit of seed money they've gotten, so I'm not concerned about them charging right away. I'm always a little nervous of free products and how long they might last, but they have some millions they've gotten in investments, so they shouldn't be going anywhere anytime soon. They will start charging soon. I'm a big fan of, if something's fairly inexpensive, paying for it whether I need it or not. Like in the case of Feedly, I didn't need to pay for the premium version, but it was like $5 a month. I'm like, you know what? I enjoy the product. I'll throw them $5 a month to try to help them survive. And they're doing fine. But back to Rome. I think his pricing is going to be a little more aggressive. It's going to be in the $15 to $20 a month they're talking about. They're still kind of thinking through it. But he's also said very clearly, if you're a student, if you need help, just email us and say, hey, can I just get it for free, please? And they'll basically kind of give it to you for free to use just because they want people to use it. If you can afford it, though, certainly pay it and try to support their efforts. So I'll kind of leave you with that one. If you do want to process through the things you've learned here, Rome could be a good place to do that. But wherever you do that, please do. Then April has some Q&A stuff set up wherever that is. I think it was going to be in Facebook. I'm happy to answer any questions you have in there. Thanks so much.